Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. We are here to talk about trust. A little bit about trust. When we are talking about trusting, we are talking about trusting the Lord. To trust means to rely on God. That comes with believing He is good, believing that He is true. And I was just talking with Peyton before this because we had a little bit of time to prepare what we wanted to say. And I didn't really know what to say. I was thinking through it this past week just because I've been trying to lean into times that I've had trouble trusting the Lord. And a lot came to me, so I'll be reading from my journal a lot. But when I think of trusting in the Lord, I think of releasing the sense of control. And I say sense because we don't have control, but it often feels like we do. I'll go more into that later, but when I think of trusting the Lord, that's what my mind goes to.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. And I guess going into ways that me and Kelsey have trusted the Lord, if in the past or currently or in the season we're in now, I just kind of want to start with a part in my season of life, kind of going through, kind of like back to our testimony. In those months, I had been trying to keep that control. Like I had been pursuing somebody. I had tried to find somebody to be my future wife. Like I wanted to find somebody. And that was kind of when God hit me with work on yourself, build yourself up. And when I think you are ready for somebody, that is when I'm going to put somebody in your life. So that's when I just kept reading, praying, and trusting in the Lord, that He would give me somebody in that time. And I did. So that was kind of like my first moment of trust. Yeah, go ahead. Do you have something?
Yeah. So I think part of the reason why I was brainstorming so much this week and I was struggling, although I know I have had trouble trusting God, but I've also had seasons where I was good at trusting God. I felt very strong in it. Looking back, trusting Him with my friendships. So going from high school to, again, long distance, another state for college, I had a very hard time in fear of not having those solid friendships that pointed to the Lord. So I remember just praying, and I had people pray for me that I would have friendships. And as soon as I got to college, I met some wonderful people who had the same hobbies and aspired to be more like God. And it was just such a beautiful time and really seeing the Lord answer that prayer. But I really had to just release the sense of control and lean into prayer. Another time that I was thinking about is just marriage. I mean, marriage is such a big commitment that I was so excited to marry Peyton, but I remember being like, this is for life, and I'm excited about that, but Lord, I'm trusting that this is the person that you are giving me for the rest of my life, to worship you and to just have a marriage that reflects your goodness. And yeah, I think for me, it's hard for me to see where I'm trusting the Lord in the mundane. By that, I mean just daily life, just because my life is very much the same thing every day, and I think that a lot of us can relate to that. But I know that I'm still trusting Him. It just might not be as loud as the things I've mentioned before.
Well, I also think when we go through storms, right, like that requires a lot of obedience and trust. So I think when you're going through the storm, you're being obedient, but you may not see that full trust until the storm's over, right?
That's a good point.
Like once the storm's over, you're like, wow, because I was obedient and I trusted in the Lord, whatever that may look like in your life. So I get where you're coming from. Like right now you may not see it, but in the future you might look back and be like, oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Another thing in my life currently that I have seen myself being able to trust is I'm in a season where I've been blessed to have the opportunities to put together sermons, and that is something that I've seen recently in my life, that I don't put these messages together. Like God gives me the answers and what He wants the message to be, and it's just been awesome to just trust and as I'm reading, it just comes to me. So
I agree. I just realized I'm smiling so big because similar to what you just said, you're trusting the Lord to give you the words to say. Literally, like I said before we started this video, I was just like, oh my goodness, the Lord is so good, I'm gonna cry, because I didn't know what to say for this whole thing, and then he just revealed a lot to me. So
yeah, and I can vouch for that, because like, I mean, this was probably what she wrote in here was like 5 minutes worth of time. Just, she's like, I don't even know what to say, and then all of a sudden she just opened her Bible and just started writing things down. And I mean, if you looked at it, you would have thought she just read like 4 or 5 chapters of the Bible.
It's chicken scratch though, so we'll see how good I can follow along.
Perfect. So that's kind of ways that me and Kelsey trust in our lives, if that was past, current. But do you want to touch on anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think we can move on to times that we've struggled with trusting in the Lord.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So times I've struggled with trust in the Lord, and this is probably a hard one for anybody. Not necessarily now, but this is more of a past thing. And that was when I first started my Christian walk, was with finances. That was really something that was hard, because it was like, I didn't understand tithing. I didn't understand that it's a worshipful act to the Lord. Like, being able to trust Him with my finances is huge, because it's scary, right? Because
there's so much.
There's power behind it, and I've had multiple stories. So like when I first started tithing, there was 3 weeks in a row where what I had given as a tithe, I had received back from somebody else. If that was a gift card, cash, whatever, and they were like outrageous stories. Like I was at work, there was a truck driver, just pulled up and was like, "Hey, I feel like you need to be blessed today," or like just like something. It was along the lines of that, but it was just crazy to see. It was just like confirmation that yes, like tithing is an act of worship.
The Lord provides.
Yeah, the Lord provides. So
that's great.
That's a past struggle that I would say that I struggle with trust, was finances.
Yeah. One big thing that came to my mind, again, going back to the fact that I went to college a little bit away from home. I think my senior year, like a lot of the year was just fear for safety of myself, fear of the safety of my loved ones. And I don't know if it's because such a big event was about to happen in my life, where we were going to get married and I just couldn't wait. And I didn't want anything to happen to mess anything up. So I just remember there were nights of like going to bed and constantly praying for my safety, which I think is amazing. Go to the Lord with it. But I just remember being like, Lord, please keep me safe. And then 2 minutes later, fear, just flooded with fear. Lord, please keep me safe, keep my family safe. So, again, prayer is amazing when you're struggling with trust, but I just kept picking back up the fear instead of releasing it to God. And again, I think that comes with the releasing of the sense of control. And now that I live close to home and close to my loved ones, and I live with my husband, I feel much safer, because I feel more in control. Like I'm close to them, and if something were to happen, I can go to them. But again, I'm not in control, but that really came to my mind. That struggle was really real.
For sure. Good. Anything else on that? Is that all I have?
No, that's it.
Okay, so just kind of like an encouragement to you guys, like going over kind of what we talked about. Again, trust is not easy. It's a hard practice. It really is, because as humans, as things, like we want control, we want grasp, we want to be, we have fear of the unknown, and that's what trust leads us into, is into the unknown. So just an encouragement that it's not easy, but continue just to stay in prayer, and you can talk to other Christians that have wisdom and just see and hear the stories of God's miraculous powers and wonders that He does through the power of prayer and just trusting and having obedience. So, I guess my challenge is to you is just find an area in your life where you feel like you have been in control, where it may seem like it's not working out, and just try to release that control and trust in the Lord in that area. So.
Exodus 16. That leads us to Exodus 16.
Yeah, so Exodus 16.
I read this the other night. It is entitled Manna and the Quail. And I'm going to only read verses 1 through 9 and pause a couple times to emphasize some points. But if you want to turn to Exodus 16, feel free to, or just listen. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. So Moses is leading the Israelites out of Egypt. They're in the desert, in the wilderness at this time. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." I want to pause there because at this point, by the power of God, Moses helped lead them into freedom, yet they are wanting to go back to what they had known, which was slavery. Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him." Now this reminds me of just looking for the glory of God within the battles, within the hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me also of the lyric, I think it's Another in the Fire. Is it by Hillsong United? "I'll count the joy come every battle, because I know that's where you'll be." And I remember that lyric sticking out to me during some of my hardest times coming out of a breakup and just trying to see God in the battle. And that lyric reminded me that every time there was joy in my life, that's Jesus. Like a friend giving an encouraging word, that's Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I will finish reading where I left off. "Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Verse 8. "Moses also said, 'You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him.' Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" And that's just a reminder that he hears us, and that he, again, is sovereign.
Yeah. Well, in like, you can tie that together with trust, right? Because again, you need that, like, knowing that the Lord hears you. You know that, like, when you're going through something, like, kind of like we talked about, when you are going through something tough, again, trusting in the Lord and praying, he hears you. He hears what you're going through.
Yeah.
And that prayer is just an act of obedience. So.
And I think for sure he hears us, but also going back to, I would look for him throughout my days and knowing that the joy, like, that's him maybe speaking through a friend, whatever it might be. But I also came to know his voice.
Right.
And I came to trust in his provision and, again, sovereignty. And as I was preparing what I was going to say, that word sovereignty came to my mind. And I've heard it many times, and someone has said the definition to me a few times too, but it's one of those words I just forget the meaning. So I looked it up, and it means supreme power, authority, and control over everything. So it's just a reminder that in our hard times, in the mundane, he is in control of every single thing.
Yeah. And that's comforting because we know that he's got us, right? Like, he has that flow and sense of peace that just floods us when knowing that he has control.
It's definitely a mindset shift. And again, I think it's hard to not pick up the fear, not to pick up whatever it might be, but just knowing that, again, he has control over everything, that just, like you said, brings so much peace.
For sure. So, anything else on what you read?
Nope, that's all.
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you for sharing. So I am going to be reading Jesus Walks on Water. We'll be starting in Matthew 14, verses 25 to 31. So this is a story of trust and lack of trust, all in the same story. So, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" So, again, we see Jesus appear, and Peter is trusting in the Lord. He's like, wow, he's walking on water. And we literally see Peter get down out of the boat and start walking on water. But as soon as things started to change, when the wind came, Peter got scared. When things were out of his control, he started to doubt and he sank because he lost faith, he lost trust, and panicked. So that can be easy to do when we're in hard times. But again, we just have to remember in the back of our minds put it in the front of your mind that no matter what we're going through, we trust in the Lord that He's going to get us out of these situations, whatever that may be in your life.
And it might look different than we think or we'd hope to be.
Exactly. Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
All for His glory.
Yes. So, you have anything else to add to mine?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, again, we have trust in the Lord. Again, it's not easy to do at all. Me and Kelsey, we're not perfect. We struggle with it too. But yeah, it's just the act of worship and obedience. So
yes, we hope that you enjoyed our episode. I'm closing it.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to hopefully having you tune in the next week. Again, encouragement. You've got it. Have a great rest of your week. Again, Peyton encouraged you, I think, earlier in the episode. Think of where you might need to trust in God, but also think about where you are trusting in God, and let that encourage you, and know that it's a lifestyle. You have to constantly, at least for me, I have to constantly remind myself to trust in the Lord.
Yes.
So, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Yes, thanks for listening.
Have a great rest of your week.